Okay, we're here today on RealAgriculture.com at Crop Week in Saskatoon. We're here today with Brian Clancey. He is a market analyst with Stat Publishing. Welcome today, Brian.
Hi.
Okay, Brian, you do a lot of looking at supply and demand of the pulse business. You're on a panel this afternoon. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're going to mention in your panel discussion?
Well, I think the critical numbers that I'm looking at when I look at the supply and demand and thinking about what will happen to acres in this coming year, and I'm looking for lentil acres to rise quite substantially, potentially approaching 3.2 million acres, which would be a record for Canada. This past year was a record area as well, but we could go up an awful lot. And you know, over the years I've come to the conclusion there's two things drive area and what farmers will grow. One is price and the other one is movement. And prices for lentils this season are extremely high again. You're seeing people able to sell green lentils and red lentils in that 35 to 38 cent a pound area, which are at the historic upper end of the price range for these commodities, like way at the upper end, in the top 10%. At the same time, we've had record export movement so far this year, and you know, so much so that probably our ending stocks will be lower than I'm thinking right now, and it could be a little bit tighter going out. But you get this thing: you have people able to sell more, to deliver more, and sell more lentils than they've ever been able to in the past at prices that are really, really high, quite extraordinary, and it creates a huge incentive to grow the crop. The other thing is you have to look at the gross income comparison between lentils and wheat and barley, canola, and things like that. And there it's also at the upper end. It's at the high end of its range, of its norms. And that will, I believe, will pull land into it because the gross income potential of the crop is much better than other ones. It's been 2 years in a row that it's been way above normal. And that is, you know, that's like a magnet. It's a huge magnet, and it'll pull land in, I'm convinced.
So what's the reason for the increased demand and the need for more acres?
We've gone through two interesting years. Last year there was a crop failure, a year ago a crop failure in Turkey and Syria. That resulted in a huge explosion in imports into that region to supply the Middle Eastern market. Their crops for this season have improved an awful lot, so we're selling a lot of stuff there going into the Middle East, but not quite as much as before. But then we had failure of the pigeon pea crop in India. They will substitute green lentils for pigeon peas when they split them because they look similar. And then there were problems with their red lentil crop last winter, and they're buying red lentils to help make up for that. It takes several months for that demand to express itself because they have to go through what they harvested. And we saw that expression of demand this past season, this past fall, with shipments to India way up, shipments to Bangladesh really, really high. Shipments to Pakistan fairly large. We've even expanded our shipments to Sri Lanka, which is a traditional red lentil competitor. You know, so there's been this, you know, monster demand, principally surrounding the Indian subcontinent.
So with this increase in, or potential increase in lentil acres in Canada, there's going to have to be some farmers that are going to move into the crop maybe for the first time. Is there, from a pricing trend standpoint, is there some things that farmers should sort of be wary of or be thinking about? Well,
I think the big thing to be thinking about is that prices are probably going to be a lot lower next season than they are this season. I think that there's a 50 to 60% probability that prices will drop down under 20 cents a pound. There's, you know, to me, there's, the way things look right now, there's only a 5 to 10% chance that prices will be above 30 cents a pound next season. So I think we're looking at a huge change in pricing. Whether or not that results in a situation where you're making less from lentils than you would from other crops that's a more difficult question. We won't know that for quite a few months. But you're looking at a price adjustment.
So definitely farmers should be thinking about trying to contract or fix the forward contract the price of some of their crop for sure.
I think it might not be a bad idea if you have a good company to consider getting into a production contract with them, because if there's going to be this kind of expansion in area with a production contract, if it's a good company and you know they're going to take it in, if it's, you know, which requires that the price isn't too high above the market, but you get that opportunity. But at the same time, a lot of companies will will give you a chance to sell your off-contract, your overproduction to them before they go and buy it from people who didn't contract with them. So with a contract, you can gain market access. But you really have to know the company you're dealing with and do your due diligence to make sure they're financially solvent, to look at their record, their history of dealing with farmers on production contracts. Don't just assume that everything will be really good.
Yeah, do some research on the internet, talk to some neighbors, talk to some fellow growers in
Yes.
other areas, and really do your due diligence.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.